Okay, so if you clicked on this video, I need you to hear me out because what I'm about to tell you is one of the weirdest situations the Miraculous fandom has ever been in. And trust me, that is saying a lot. We got news about season 6, and yes, it involves new episodes coming, but the way this whole thing unfolded and where this news actually came from has genuinely confused and frustrated a huge chunk of the fan base. So let me break this whole thing down for you because there is a lot to unpack here. So normally, right, when we get Miraculous news, when we get episode announcements or release dates, it comes from the places we expect. Gloob in Brazil, Disney, the usual suspects. We've been following these sources for years now. We know how this works. We know who to trust and where to look. But this time, and I'm not even joking, the news came from a broadcaster that I guarantee most of you have never even heard of. A Canadian company called Télé-Québec. Yeah, Télé-Québec. I had to look it up too, honestly. This company was never really on anybody's radar when it comes to Miraculous. Nobody was sitting there refreshing their social media pages waiting for updates. They just kind of appeared out of nowhere with this announcement. And that alone made the whole thing feel strange from the start. Now here's the thing, and this is actually an interesting pattern that I've noticed over time. Whenever the Miraculous fandom gets loud, whenever fans start speaking up and voicing their frustrations, the team behind Miraculous does respond. It might not always be immediate, and it might not always be exactly what people want to hear, but there is a response. The fan voice does reach them. But what's weird this time is that the response didn't come from the Miraculous team directly. It came from this random Canadian broadcaster that nobody was paying attention to. So already you can see why people are raising eyebrows. Let me just rip off the Band-Aid here. I know a bunch of you have been asking about February, and honestly, unless something completely out of left field happens, like some random surprise drop no one expected, February isn't giving us any episodes. At this point, that's basically a done deal, so if you were still hoping for it, I hate to say it, but yeah, it's not happening. Now here's the silver lining, though. March is locked in. The Miraculous team actually came out and confirmed episodes are dropping in March. So this isn't some fan theory or guesswork. This is straight from the source, the people behind the show. Episodes in March, full stop. The big question mark now, and this is where things start getting a little chaotic, is how exactly those episodes are going to roll out. So let me tell you what Télé-Québec actually announced, because this is where the controversy really starts. According to their plan, they're going to release episodes 17 through 24 of season 6. That's 8 episodes total, and they're going to air them 2 per week, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So every weekend, you'd get 2 brand new episodes back to back. Now, okay, I can already hear some of you saying, wait, that sounds amazing. More episodes, faster, what's the problem? And I get it. On the surface, it sounds great. More content in less time, who wouldn't want that, right? But hold on, because when you actually think about what this means for the fandom and for the show itself, you start to understand why so many fans are upset about this. Here's the thing about Miraculous fans, and I think this applies to a lot of animated show fandoms, honestly. There's a rhythm to how we watch this show. There's a pace that works. For years now, we've been used to getting roughly 2 episodes per month. And in between those episodes, there's this whole cycle that happens. Trailers drop, little spoilers get shared, people start making theories, fans discuss the episodes they just watched, they analyze character development, they debate what's going to happen next. That space between episodes isn't just empty waiting time. It's actually a huge part of the experience. It's where the community comes alive. The discussions, the fan art, the theory videos, all of that happens in those gaps between episodes. And the balance was actually really good. It wasn't so long between episodes that people got bored and left, but it wasn't so short that everything just blurred together. It worked for the fans, and honestly, it worked for the broadcasters too, because each episode had time to build up hype and pull in viewers. Now, imagine you dropped 2 episodes in the same weekend. Think about what that does. You watch a brand new episode on Saturday and you barely have time to process it. You want to talk about it, you want to think about what just happened, you want to re-watch that one scene that caught you off guard. But before you can even do any of that, boom, there's another brand new episode the very next day. The first episode immediately gets overshadowed. It doesn't get the attention it deserves. It doesn't get properly discussed. It just kind of gets pushed aside because now everyone's focused on the Sunday episode. And then the same thing happens the next weekend. 2 more episodes stacked on top of each other. By the end of the month, you've watched 8 episodes and you can barely remember what happened in the first few because everything was just thrown at you so fast. And look, this isn't just a fan experience problem either. From a business standpoint, this doesn't make a ton of sense. When you split your audience across 2 episodes in the same weekend, you're potentially splitting your ratings too. Each episode gets less individual attention, less individual viewership, less buzz. Instead of having 8 separate moments of hype spread across a month or two, you've compressed everything into 4 weekends and diluted the impact of each episode. I genuinely don't understand what the strategic thinking is behind this. Now, let me give you some context about Season 6's release history, because this isn't the first time we've had problems with how episodes were scheduled. The beginning of the season was rough, like genuinely rough. The schedule was all over the place, episodes were coming out at weird times, there was no consistency, and fans were rightfully frustrated about it. But then something kind of amazing happened. Around the middle of the season, things actually got really good. The schedule became consistent, it made sense, fans were happy, the community was thriving, everything was clicking. It felt like they had finally figured out the formula. And now, just when things were going so well, we're right back to a questionable release plan. All that positive momentum that was built up during the middle of the season is now at risk of being thrown away. And that's genuinely frustrating to see.
And, okay, I do want to acknowledge something because I think it's fair. The Miraculous team and the broadcasters are kind of in an impossible situation here. When they don't release episodes, fans complain. When they do release episodes, fans still complain. I can see how that would be incredibly confusing and frustrating from their side. Like, what do you want from us, you know? But here's where I think that argument falls apart. Fans aren't complaining about getting episodes. Nobody is sitting here saying, I don't want new Miraculous episodes. The complaint is specifically about how the episodes are being delivered, the scheduling, the pacing, the format. That's what people have a problem with. Give us episodes in a reasonable, well-paced schedule, and I promise you the fandom will be happy. It's not complicated. The issue has never been about whether we get episodes, it's about how we get them. Now, okay, so here's where things take a really interesting turn. Because despite everything I just said, despite all the frustration, there is actually one part of Télé-Québec's plan that is genuinely incredible. And this is something that Miraculous fans have been begging for literally for years. The episodes are going to be released in chronological order. Let that sink in for a second. Chronological order. If you've been watching Miraculous for any amount of time, you know how insane this is, because this has basically never happened before. Every single season of Miraculous has had episodes released out of order. You'd be watching episode 15 and there would be a reference to something that happened in episode 12, but you haven't seen episode 12 yet because for some reason that one hasn't aired. The story would feel disconnected, character arcs wouldn't make sense, you'd be confused about relationships and plot points, and it was just a mess. Fans have been asking for chronological releases for as long as I can remember, and Télé-Québec is saying they're going to do it. Episodes 17 through 24, all in the correct order. That is genuinely huge, and I don't want that to get lost in all the negativity, because that is a real win for the fandom. But, and there's always a but with this show, we need to talk about whether this plan is even real. Because here's the thing that makes this whole situation even more uncertain. Some Miraculous officials have come out and said that this release plan could be changed or even canceled at any time. So nothing about this is set in stone. The plan exists today, but it might not exist tomorrow. And if you're a Miraculous fan, you know that plans change all the time with this show. So building your expectations around this specific schedule might not be the smartest move. And it actually gets even more suspicious than that. Look, some fans have pointed out something that, when you think about it, really does raise some red flags. In recent weeks, there's been information shared that many of these episodes haven't even been delivered to the broadcasters yet. The episodes aren't in their hands. So think about this logically for a second. How does a broadcasting company announce a detailed week-by-week release schedule for episodes that they don't even have yet? That doesn't add up, right? If you don't have the episodes, how can you guarantee when they're going to air? How can you promise a specific order and a specific timeline? You can't. And that's exactly why a significant portion of the fan base believes that Télé-Québec made this announcement purely to get attention. They saw an opportunity to put their name out there, to get people talking about them, and they took it. Whether or not they can actually deliver on this plan might be a completely separate question. And honestly, when you look at the bigger picture of how Miraculous distribution works, this kind of thing isn't even that surprising. There are multiple broadcasters fighting over this show. Gloob, Disney, Tfue, RTS, and now, apparently, Télé-Québec. These companies are in constant competition with each other. Every single one of them wants to be the first to air new episodes, because whoever airs first gets the most viewers and the most buzz. It's a race, and sometimes that race leads to chaos. Episodes get released out of order, schedules conflict with each other, and the fans are the ones who end up suffering for it. Now, Télé-Québec has jumped into that race seemingly out of nowhere, and whether they're a serious contender or just making noise remains to be seen. So, where does all of this leave us? Let me sum it up as clearly as I can. March episodes are happening. That is confirmed by the Miraculous team, and you can count on that. But everything else, the specific schedule, the 2 episodes per weekend format, the chronological order, which broadcaster is actually going to release them first, all of that is still up in the air. We have not gotten an official statement from the Miraculous team or from Disney about any of this. The only source for this specific plan is Télé-Québec, a company that most fans literally just learned exists, and there are legitimate reasons to question whether they can follow through on what they've announced. So my honest advice to you right now is this. Be excited about March because episodes are coming, and that's great. But don't lock yourself into any specific expectations based on what Télé-Québec has said. Wait for the official sources. Wait for the Miraculous team, wait for Disney, wait for the broadcasters that we know and trust to confirm what's actually happening. When those confirmations come, that's when we can start planning and getting hyped for real. Until then, just take everything with a grain of salt and enjoy the fact that new episodes are on the horizon, regardless of how they end up being delivered. That said, I am really curious what you guys think about all of this. Do you think the 2 episodes per weekend plan is a good idea or a terrible one? Do you think Télé-Québec is being serious or just cloud chasing? Let me know in the comments because I genuinely want to hear your take. And if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button because when official news does drop, you know I'm going to be right here breaking it all down for you. I'll see you in the next one.